So Cyril, thank you very much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership. But before we walk into the future, can you tell us a little bit about your own background? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Dr. Nick, for the opportunity to be part of this series. I grew up in the KwaZulu-Natal province, so KZN, in a few areas actually. One was a township called KwaMashu in Durban. It's to the north of Durban. Yeah. Then there's two villages as well. One on the north side, one on the south side, where I grew up. A village called KwaMachi in Harding, which is where my father's from, and Samungu in Ishowe, which is where my mother's from. So my parents never got married, which is why I had to move between these two villages as well, as part of my childhood when I was growing up. So yeah, I would say those three areas combined basically made up my childhood in terms of where I grew up.
Right. And Cyril, can you tell us what was your dream career when you grew up?
Yeah. It would surprise most that actually I wanted to become a professional football player when I grew up. I mean, for me, I'd seen how football and also played it, right? Like from my township and the villages were able to assist their families to transition from a inequality and poverty-stricken background into those more prosperous from a financial sense and the likes. So for me, I mean, I had the talent. My father played semi-pro actually, but he couldn't continue with his career because he was one of the oldest, and he had to find a job that pays to basically assist the family financially. And football didn't pay much. So I asked him to help me find a football team, which he did in the KwaMashu township. But the deal between him and my mom and myself was that I would not lose focus on my studies. So I was usually a top 3 student in my class. And what happened was, after first playing football, due to the demands, the practice and the likes, it took up a lot of my time. And I started losing focus on my studies. And I went from being a top 3 student to being a top 30 student. My parents then found out about this and they banned me from playing football. So yeah, so my football career was short-lived. I can't play. Yeah, so I didn't play, but I still have dreams of owning a football club of my own.
Okay. So if I may ask, which club are you supporting, or which club would you like to own?
Which club am I supporting? Oh, Dr. Nick, do you have to ask such questions? So I support Kaizer Chiefs locally, and yeah, it's a very tough time. But yeah, I'm pretty sure at some point we'll turn the corner. And then internationally, I support Manchester United and Real Madrid. In terms of which team I'd like to own, yeah, I'm not there yet in terms of really like identifying a team that I'd like to own. I know it's just some homework I still need to do. I just know at some point I want to own a football club.
Right. So Cyril, can you tell us who inspired you in your early days?
So, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a specific person per se. To be honest, I would think it was my environment, right, that I was in, that served more as a motivator, for me to work hard, to basically break the inequality and poverty cycle in my family, right? I mean, I've mentioned earlier the areas that I grew up in. I'm not going to say that there were times when, I don't know, I went to bed hungry, or so it wasn't to that extent, but we didn't have much, so that was in its own was a motivator for me. And from a young age, I would imagine myself, then also helping others, from my background, to effectively achieve the same things. Yeah, so I mean, and you know, it's that type of how can I put it? It's that type of motivation which kept me going when things got tough, really. So I wouldn't say there was a specific person per se, but it was more the environment I was in. I also saw, like I mentioned earlier, there was some football, there were guys who played football, so I could see it's possible to make the change. You know, it was about me finding the avenues in which I was going to be able to do it.
Right. And today, Cyril, you are a CA. You are one of the top 35 under 35, a 2020 finalist. And I believe your career started at PwC. And then
Yes, that's correct.
You moved to Barclays. And today you are senior leader at EBSA. It's a retail and business banking division. Can you maybe share a couple of highlights from your career?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of my career, right? If you look at it, I moved up to Johannesburg particularly because I wanted a type of exposure that being in the city and doing my articles in Johannesburg would provide. And if I look back, it was a wise decision. Convincing my parents to do so was another thing altogether. But yeah, at least that paid off. I mean, if you look at some of the highlights, you know, I've been able to work internationally as well. You know, I went to Boston for a short period with PwC, you know, worked with colleagues internationally, different markets, you know, type of invaluable experience that you can't really buy. Also with Barclays, that continued because I worked with colleagues from New York, London, Tokyo, Singapore, India, you know. In fact, I got to go to India for about a month with Barclays. You know, we were doing a project to transition roles from Johannesburg to Chennai. So I went over there for about a month to train our colleagues on systems, processes, and products, so that they can be able to basically assume those roles. I mean, a few months after that, they were able to go live, you know, seamlessly and assume those roles, which was particularly a challenging project because you're basically transitioning a division between two continents, you know. So yeah, I'll rate that as one of my highlights in terms of my career. And then obviously being involved in, as part of ABSA, being involved in the separation program between ABSA and Barclays. So when Barclays decided to decrease their stake in ABSA, it meant that they were no longer going to be seen as one group, both from a regulatory and statutory point of view. So they had to do a massive project to decouple the two groups. So I was part of that project, particularly from a reporting perspective, basically keeping our key stakeholders up to date on the program, because it was a program of massive interest, both internally and externally. So regulators, our board, our exco. So yeah, I'll rate this as one of my career highlights as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, if I can just touch on something, in terms of the turning point, like throughout my career, it was when I started looking inward in terms of understanding my own capabilities and what I can bring to the table. At the beginning of my career, I used to rely like on outward or rather outside validation, you know. But I found that the minute I started to realize on my own capabilities, what I bring on the table, and then rather using the criticism from others to see where I can improve, I found it to be an empowering approach to my career.
And tell us, Cyril, what is driving you today?
Yeah, so I would say what's driving me today, it's making a positive impact and a positive difference in the lives of others, right? And assisting with that development in any way possible. You know, it's something I apply like in my life now, be it in my banking career with ABSA or you know, in my own personal life, or there's a whole host of youth development initiatives with which I'm involved, right? Different capacities. In some I'm a mentor, in some I'm a coach, in some I'm a donor of funds, in some I'm a board member. I've realized that I'm one of the fortunate few, if you take into account my background, in terms of what I've been able to achieve, the exposure. But there are people where I come from who have not had the same, how can I put it, experience, and for me, who has had, I've taken upon myself to see what I can do to assist others, in terms of where it is where I come from, challenges that are faced by our society, a lot of which actually have been made worse by COVID-19, and I basically choose to be part of the solution. I'm specifically involved in a lot of youth development initiatives, like I was saying. But it's with a view to help in bridge inequality gap, really. So even in my career in the banking space, I work in spaces where organizations are looking to assist communities deal with various challenges, and you would have seen it also specifically that during COVID we had probably one of the comprehensive relief packages that was able to assist both people in their own personal capacity and in terms of the businesses. So that's what's driving me today.
Now, Cyril, you're also the founder of the Growth Switch. Can you tell us a little bit about your activities in there?
Yes, yeah. So the Growth Switch, like you rightfully said, was founded by myself. And the reason why it was founded is I realized that there's a lot of skills that the formal education doesn't necessarily teach you, but which are critical if you are going to launch and sustain a successful career, right? So these are mostly skills, because the education system will teach you mostly technical skills. You go to school, you learn maths and history and all these things. You go to university, you learn a lot more specialized technical skills, either law or accounting or medicine and whatever. But there's a lot of soft skills that they don't teach you. Like, for example, how do you define a purpose or vision for your life? Things as simple as time management, stress management, your own personal brand. I'm just mentioning some of the things that we touch base on here. And there's basically three main streams to it. We've got online videos, which we share via our YouTube page or social media pages, and they effectively tackle a topic, provide some valuable practical insights within a video, say, of either 5 to 10 minutes. Then we also have one-on-one sessions, which can either be mentoring or coaching. With the mentoring is rather unstructured. It's as and when someone needs guidance from someone more experienced. And then the coaching is more structured, and it's that someone goes through with the aim of equipping them with skills that they're going to need as part of their journey. Yeah, so that's the Growth Switch in a nutshell. We've seen a great interest in it. We launched one-on-ones that I've just mentioned in September, and we've already had close to 25 youths that we've on a one-on-one basis.
Okay. Now, Cyril, looking into the future, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
Yeah. If I look at the future of leadership, I would say I can touch on three things that I see being quite important for leaders of the future. The ability to think in innovative ways is important, right? So increasingly, what's happening is the challenges posed, as there's rapid change, in the world, are not ones where you can necessarily apply traditional methods, those that have worked in the past. You need to become creative about, how you go about doing things. I mean, just this last year, we got this COVID pandemic, and we're all in a space where we needed to be innovative in terms of how we're doing things. I'm pretty sure yourself as well. These sessions might have been face-to-face in the past. You needed to adjust and become innovative about how you're doing things. So the ability to understand that you need to come up with new and out-of-the-box ideas is important for a future leader. I would also think that, you know, with this amount of change that comes through, right, we all respond differently. I would think as a leader, you need to be able to have a rather high level of emotional intelligence, you know, to be able to, you know, engage, you know, with your people and other stakeholders, and be able to also motivate your team, right? The people that you work with. Also, increasingly, what's important for a leader of the future, gone are the days when, you know, leaders, you know, the impact on community and the planet was not foremost in their minds. Now it has to be, you know. So as a future leader, as you're carrying out your duties, you must be mindful of the impact on the communities and the planet, and whether or not you are assisting to uplift communities. So I think those are the three things that I can touch on for now, that I think a future leader, you know, needs to be mindful of.
Right. And Cyril, what have you learned from your own journey that you consider most important for building, empowering, and enabling future leaders?
Yeah. You know, what I've learned on my journey is that without your people, you know, you can't achieve much as a leader. Everything that you achieve is through your people, right? So it's important that you acknowledge, you know, your people's strengths and development points, right? All with the purpose of assisting to empower them to become the best version of themselves, right? So how you do this is you effectively expose them to opportunities that you know, utilize their strengths, and then you manage the development areas such that they don't affect their overall performance. You know, so what you find is then someone you know, grows you know, through experience, and then start making major contributions in achievements of whatever, you know, there is to achieve. You know, so I've seen that being a leader, it's about being a servant, right? It's about being a servant to the people. At times, people get into a leadership role and they think it's all about them, and you know, but also it's the major part of it is about empowering your own people.
Right. Now, Cyril, when you speak to aspiring leaders, what is it you tell them about social media? How should they navigate social media to build their own leadership brand?
Yeah. Yeah, the branding topic is quite an important one. So thanks for bringing that up. So, you know, the one thing about the social media platform that's important is to always like be yourself. So maintain a authentic persona. You know, I met a student once as part of the growth switch, and they said to me, you know, it was quite refreshing that when they met me in person, I was still the same Cyril they experienced through my social media. And I found it quite interesting. I was like, oh, wow, okay. They say they've met people before who put on a persona on the social media, but when they've met them in person, they're totally different. So it's important that you can back that up when people meet you. You know, your brand is essentially how you want to be known, you know, out there. So, and it's important for you as a leader to be in control of that narrative, because otherwise you leave other people to be in control of that narrative. So identify how it is you want to be known, and you align your social media presence to that, right? And then, like I said, you need to then back it up with actions. You know, if I can make an example, you know, you find that there's sports stars who, as part of their brand, you know, they're seen as one of the greats in their sport. You know, if you think of any sport, now that person is one of the greats because they put in like consistent good performances every single week. You know, but now what happens if that person starts to deliver poor performances for a very long time? Then their brand starts to suffer. So you can see how, you know, how in terms of the branding that you're putting out there, you need to be able to back it up by actions. Yeah, so that's what I would say in terms of branding.
Now, Cyril, what is your advice for future leaders in terms of challenges? what are some of the biggest challenges future leaders should expect to encounter in their career?
Yeah, I would say, again, if I can touch on three things. So uncertainty is one of the things that they're going to encounter. You know, how we did things a year ago, so we do it now, totally different. You know, so they need to be comfortable with uncertainty. Sounds strange to that, but you need to be able to know that you're operating in an uncertain environment, and you need to be comfortable with that. You know, there's many changes, be it from technology, the political climate, policies, and the likes. And then I would say, again, you know, linking to that is the rapid change that's constantly happening in the world. So you may find that, you know, as you're dealing with one change, another one quickly lands on your plate again. So you're able to come up with solutions fairly quickly, you know, so that you're not now caught in a ball of many changes that you're trying to solve for it. Then I would say another one is, you know, with the new way of doing things, because I foresee this remote working, you know, setup not really going away fully. I notice particularly leaders who are saying it's a matter of time before their people go back to the office and resume the new normal. Yeah, I don't think so. So I think leaders need to be comfortable with the fact that you're leading people that you're no longer in a room with, right? So you need to become innovative about your leadership style to effectively still be able to deliver on your mandate as a leader. Yeah, so those are the three things I would say might be the biggest challenges, Nick.
And Cyril, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are some of the new skills you would want to factor in?
Yeah. All right. So some of them I think I may have touched on already, just revise. So the ability to be innovative in your thinking, right? Like I said, there's going to be new challenges, unique, never seen before, and you need to come up with, you know, new solutions to these, because traditional methods won't work. The ability to adapt, you know, environments as we are presented with rapid change. I would also say that you know, being familiar with technology. So, you know, one of the skills you need to have is being technologically savvy, right? Being familiar with technology, understand, you know, what solutions are on offer and how these can be utilized for the advancement of, you know, your organization. Because these assist, you know, in terms of making your work effective and efficient. So yeah, I would say those three would be the skills I'm going to highlight, Nick.
So, Cyril, as a mentor to many future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the organizations where I'm a mentor is the Cyril Ramaphosa Education Trust. I'm also alumni of that organization. So they funded my university studies and provided other holistic support during that time. Now, along with other alumni, we took it upon ourselves to start a fund, which is also managed under this organization. And we basically contribute on a monthly basis to assist other students in the way that we are assisted. And we've been able to support 2 students to this end who have since graduated. And it speaks to what I said earlier about me contributing towards bridging the inequality gap, rather, in our country. You know, so of those 2 students, I mentor one of them because they want to become a qualified CA. And this young man, you know, he's had to face a host of challenges during his journey, including health issues and the COVID-19 pandemic itself. You know, so in our one-on-one sessions, mentoring sessions, you know, I'll provide, you know, guidance and support and advice to him during that time, which, you know, I was impressed by his eagerness, actually, you know, to learn new strategies, you know, to overcome his challenges. Which he was able to put into effect And now, as we speak, he's a two-time graduate. He was the first from his family to have a degree from university. He recently completed his honors, and this year he's starting his 3-year articles. So it just goes to show, what an individual can do, when they are provided with the necessary support.
And Cyril, who would you say are the role models of leadership that you've encountered in your leadership journey and maybe in your learning journey that you would recommend future leaders should learn from?
Yeah. Earlier on I mentioned about my short-lived football playing career. So what you find is a lot of like some of the leaders that I do follow are actually in the sports world. One of them is Cristiano Ronaldo. He plays for the Juventus football club in Italy. He's still in different leagues. So that just shows his ability to adapt to different situations that I alluded to. You'll see now and again he will post videos or pictures of himself in some machine, where he's either recuperating or training, which helps keeping in tip-top shape, as compared to other players his age. The things that he's able to do at his age compared to what other people can do at age 36 when playing football are just remarkable. And you can also see how he's become innovative. He's become innovative in his game, right? So, if you look at his videos 10, 15 years ago, what he used to do on the football field versus what he does now, you can see he's adapted his game to his age. He understands he's not as young as he used to be, but somehow he's adapted his game to still be as effective as he used to be. Another one is LeBron James. He plays in the NBA for the Los Angeles Lakers. So from him, you see in terms of how he understands that, he operates in a world where there's societal challenges. So he's aware of those, and he gets involved in quite a number of community upliftment initiatives. He's one of the things he's done is he's built a whole school in his hometown of Akron, Ohio, where kids are able to attend. Everything is paid for. There's accommodation. And he's set the bar for athletes from that perspective. He too can adapt. He's played for different teams, different cities. He's been in the league for 18 years, and the things he's still able to do are remarkable. So you can see he's added a fair amount of innovation to his game as well. And lastly, his emotional intelligence. So that helps him as a leader, to get the best out of his teammates. All the players know that if you go in to play with LeBron James, chances are your performance is going to increase because he's able to get that out of his teammates. So these are the attributes that can be applied in any leadership setting, not just in sports. But yeah, those are the ones I just wanted to mention for now.
Thank you. And Cyril, how can our listeners connect with you, and where should they follow you?
Yeah. So I'll say the best places to connect with me is LinkedIn. So you can look for Cyril Madiba, CASA, on LinkedIn. You can also check my website. So my website is cyrilmadiba.com, and there you will find information about all the initiatives with which I'm involved. I would say those are the best places to connect with me.
Great. And last but not least, Cyril, is there one piece of advice that you would really like to convey to future leaders that they should implement in their own leadership and in their life?
Yeah, I would leave them with this. Great leadership. This is what I've learned. It is not about how great you are. It's about how you assist others to be great, and how you empower them to become the best version of themselves. It's all about being a servant, like I said earlier. So that's the one piece of advice I would leave the listeners with.
Well, thank you so much, Cyril, for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership and reminding us that great leadership is all about serving others, elevating others, and it has a lot to do with innovation, especially today.
Yeah. Yes.